Good morning, everybody. I finally got the Philips radio on the bench, but it's going to be very awkward for me to work on it without scratching up the cabinet, as the bench is pretty small. But to my surprise, it had a inspection cover on the bottom. This part was faced towards the bottom of the radio, in other words, this way. I'll show you over here. And there's a ground wire here that went under a screw and a washer. And there's another one here that went under a screw and a washer. So it's like a shield, and I'm very surprised to see that, so I can inspect what we got under here. And unfortunately, I'm using the Z1, so you're not going to get any good close-ups. But I'll do the best I can, like I always do. It's kind of hairy running this here. I don't want to scratch this cabinet and bang it into things. I'm very leery about taking this chassis out. I'm so afraid of breaking the dial cords, and it's got more than one dial cord. So let's inspect this as best I can, and I got all my lights on in the shop here. Very unusual looking caps here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little guys. They appear to be, I don't know, some kind of a black wax or something on these. Another one here. I can't read that. I'll have to get my microscope out to see what the values are. But what is weird is over here. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to have to put the magnifier down so I can point to them. Right here. There appear to be coils, but that's just the way they're sitting. It don't appear to be touched. There's a lot of dust in there. There was a lot more, and I took it out with my brush here very gently. But it appears that the push buttons switches are right here. So I may not have to pull this out of the cabinet, because the switches need cleaning. And I think this might be the power. All right. Kind of unusual, and there's a lot of dust in here. But I got to be careful I don't upset any tune circuits. It's extremely delicate, and what the heck is this? I hope that's not a dial cord. I don't think so. That must be a shielded wire or something. I don't know. It looks to me like I got the schematic anyway, so it's not too bad. The electrolytic looks good, and like I said in an earlier video on this, it appears that the electrolytic is good because it doesn't seem to have a problem with running warm, and there's no hum. I will, since I got this out, put my the blue ESR meter on that filter. This radio's been off for a very long time. I don't know. Here's another one of them capacitors. I'm not sure if that connection right there is right there. Somebody had tested it. I don't know, but I think this whole thing appears to be never touched. There's a switch here. There's a switch here. I don't know what that button is. That's probably a switch there also. I want to add a fuse to this, and I'm thinking of putting it right here. The end of the chassis is here, but then there's an extension which you can't see here on the other side of this wall on the end piece of the chassis. And I felt back there, and I think there's going to be enough room to put in drill a hole and put in a fuse there. I was originally going to put the fuse, put a washer here and put the fuse here. It needs a 1 amp fuse. It doesn't have a fuse in it, but I don't like doing that. That's in the tune circuit. I don't like running line cords through any areas where there's an oscillator or a RF amplifier or anything like that. Yes, there's an electrolytic up there, but you really don't want to run AC line cord, which is, they usually, when they make a radio, your power transformer, your line cord, and everything is on the opposite end of the radio from the RF section. And they do that for a reason. So I'm going to put the fuse here. There's no way I'm going to put it up here. There isn't much room on the top of the chassis. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check that electrolytic for ESR. And as I recall, and I've got the schematic underneath the cabinet so it don't get scratched, I think those are 50 microfarads. Well, I seem to be getting an ESR of 4. It's so hard to see in there because it's up underneath. And the way those terminals are on that thing, and I'm sorry I can't get you closer. I don't feel like dragging out the Sony SR12. The terminals run very close to the chassis. And the unusual looking resistors, they almost look like glow bars. These two black resistors here. Of course, I get the schematic, I can find out what they are. So I got to look up the ESR for a 50 microfarad capacitor, but I don't think 4. I can't go by this chart here. Let me pause you a minute. I can't figure that chart out. According to that, it's reading 1. And at a 250 volt, which I don't even know what the rating of that capacitor is. But I don't think 4, ESR 4 is good. I've got a chart over here, and I'm going to read it. I'll look at it, and I'll get back to you. A 50 microfarad, or 47 actually, should read 2. For 250 volt, that's as high as this chart goes. So, even though there's no harm, I would have to replace it, but you know what? It's going to stay there for cosmetic reasons. And when I replace the electrolytic, there is a hole here, and nothing is missing. If you look on the Radio Museum for this particular radio, it also contains a hole here, so I'll make up a capacitor block or something and put the new electrolytics here and disconnect the ones off of here. Let me get some light in here. You can see that there are clips, little screws and clips holding that cap in there. Okay, but there's no point in removing it. We got a hole here that can be utilized for the new replacement electrolytics. I am very, very nervous about taking this thing out and breaking the dial cords. This thing is full of dial cords, and I kid you not. The speakers, I should say, the mid-range and the woofer, are, there's only 3 wires. One is common, and the other ones, one goes to the woofer and one goes to the mid-range. You can see the output transformer here, the yellow and the black. Then you've got the gray one, which does not come from the transformer but from under the chassis and goes up and ties into the speaker plus on the red dot there. Now, testing the ESR on the with the cap-in circuit, of course, is probably not the best way to do it. But it's not all that bad. The chassis really needs to come out. But I can clean these switches, but there is one switch right here below these unusual looking coils. And see how they're just sticking in midair there? That's a coil. Let me get you. I'm sorry I can't give you a light and a magnifier at the same time. I just can't do it. But if you look, that's hanging in midair, and that's the way it was when I opened it. I'm not going to move it because that's a tuned circuit. It appears to be, like, my eyes are not permitting me to look, but I'm guessing that's a coil. There are 2 wires on it, so I'm saying that that's a coil. It's a tuned circuit. You do not want to move that around because that'll detune the radio. There's one here and there's one here. So what I can do is take some that CRC cleaner, which I have a new bottle of, wash all these out, which I'm going to do in a little while here, and then hit after that evaporates, I'll use some deoxit. Now let's get you some light here. This is really just a show and tell right now on this video. Haven't made a video lately, so I figured I'd do one. There's another one of these odd looking resistors. There's 2 of them. They're black ones. Alright. Along with those 2, of course. And they have some little dog bone resistors in here too. Now this is, from what I understand, this radio is around 1954, 55 or thereabouts. Yeah, that's a tuned circuit area. You don't want to mess around with that. But to my surprise, I don't see those ordinary wax capacitors. I don't see any. I'm going to get the magnifier out and check this here. That behaves like a string. I'm nervous about that. Let me see if I can push a button down and see if it does anything. Yes, it is. It's tight now. It pulls on something over here. I get very nervous around anything with a dowel cord. It pulls on something back there. If this had been worked on, there would have probably been broken dowel cords. The radio plays, except for the switches being erratic. And to tell you the honest truth, I would bring this into the house and run it the way it is, because I will damage the dowel cord. I just know it, because my bench is too crowded here and I'm liable to hook the dowel cord, turning the chassis around working on it, and breaking off, hooking it on the oscilloscope, or hooking it on the shelf, or hooking it on any one of these things over here. And it would be a real heartbreak to break the dowel cord. Alright, this has got a whole bunch of mechanism in there. See this thing here? That's your bass and treble. There's a little musical sign telling you what it is. See how that is? There's another thing that can get broken. Okay? Here's a dial cord right here. The dial glass, get your light in here, the reddish thing there, that's the dial glass, and that appears to be fastened, glued somehow to the cabinet. So when you pull this chassis, all this will be coming out, and the dial glass will be left behind. This is a very intricate radio. You've got dial cords here that rotate your AM signal, and there is a little interruption there too, like a loose connection or something when I move this. There's a dial cord there, then there's more dial cord here. See how that goes? This works so good. I am really leery about pulling this out, and I'm tempted to clean the switches and do everything with it in the cabinet. I have no idea where the dial lights are. You even got a dial cord right here. See that string right there, just above the right angles to the yellow wire? There's a dial cord. It goes right up in there. This thing is loaded with dial cords. This is your eye tube here. Now that wire just clips in up here. I had it out. It just snaps in the clip. That's not a problem. I have to turn the light off because I can't hold the light, the camera in that too. Your tube slides out of here. See? This is EM80, I think, something like that. I did not get a tube for that because it was a little expensive. I think it was $8 or $14 or something like that. It lights, it's not fully bright, but it could be a lot of things. So you'd have to slide that out. That's not a problem. Then you pull your FM antenna, and that stays in the cabinet. That's not a problem. And the speakers, as I said before, are all hardwired in. There's no plug. And it appears to be solid wire, but I could be wrong. They feel like solid wire. So what I want to do before I remove this chassis, if I do, and I'll probably be kicking myself because it would be a real heartbreak if I break these dial cords. There's no way in hell I'd be able to string it. No way. As it is now, they could break, you know, being as old as they are. That's my biggest worry. This gray wire is the hot, the black is your common, and your yellow is the hot for the woofer. Although it's showing a red dot here on the black, this is the way it was wired. I'm not touching that. I'm not going to simply cut these off and have these hanging around on the chassis. What I want to do, as you can see on the output transformer, there's a yellow and a black wire, which is right here, okay? I don't see any way to mount a terminal strip because everything on the chassis, these two holes here, I don't know what they are. I think there's some kind of an adjustment holes or something. So you can't mount anything there. So what I want to do when I have to put the light down, I want to cut the wire here, cut the wires here, take some epoxy and glue a terminal block here, a 3 or 4 terminal block, and have these 3 wires soldered to the terminal block that I'm going to be gluing on the top of this output transformer. It's my only way I know to do it. Put spade lugs on these 3 wires and shove them under the screws and tighten it down. So you're not disturbing all this. When you remove the chassis, you'll just unhook these 3 wires and push them off to the side. The other option was to bring these 3 wires up and make a terminal strip here, but I don't like that idea because these are solid wire and it's going to be flexing and breaking off. So that's what I'll probably do, and then simply move the bulb, the tuning indicator, slide it out of its little pouch there, and remove the chassis. There is a capacitor here. Looks like it might be an electrolytic. A little bit hard to get at. But you know, as I said, I got to get a fuse in this. Then I feel comfortable bringing it into the house. Does not have a fuse in it. I was going to, one of these is the phono, I was going to wire in, put in a motor RCA type jack for the phono. Not sure what this is, because I don't have the back cover to this. But I can get some material at Home Depot, and I have the dimensions. I can make a back cover for this, which I intend to do. And then I got to drill a whole bunch of holes for ventilation in the top third of the back cover. Looked at the Radio Museum photograph, and it has a lot of holes, but I'm not going to be able to do them like that. I'll probably do them larger and cut them, and that's going to be something that I'm going to have to do when we get some good weather. This dial glass, I'm not sure if it comes out with the chassis. There is no information on this other than the Radio Museum, and they're not very helpful at all. And it doesn't show you. There is a picture on the Radio Museum showing the chassis out with this dial glass connected to the chassis and the knobs on it. I don't know how these knobs come off. They could have a set screw there. I can't see that. But what I think I am going to do after I stop recording here, I'm going to just spray some CRC cleaner through here and work these switches up and down. That won't hurt anything. And see if I can get my little iLope microscope, the little white job I got, and see if I can read the value on these caps. Like I say, I've got the schematic anyways, but I just want to see, being that it's European, it's going to be different than what we're used to seeing rather. And there's a number on this too. I've never seen such skinny looking resistors in all my life. Look at how skinny they are. Unusual looking. This is a capacitor here, a tubular capacitor. These, as I said, are inductors, this and this. And then, of course, these weird black resistors. There's another skinny, that's a tubular capacitor. These are capacitors that we don't have to worry about changing. I think the only ones that I have to worry about is probably these. And I doubt they're even bad because the radio works, except for the erratic push buttons. And we're going to get to spraying that. And we're going to try it out. Okay, I just sprayed the switches with the CRC cleaner, and that's all I used. I didn't use the deoxit yet. I will be. I think there's another switch on the top, but let's just find out how this is.
That's Amy Rigby from her 2003 album Till the Wheels Fall Off. Let's take a short break.
Of course, the FM band is, everything's opposite.
On the left who believe that instead of Bill's wish to make abortion rare, existence and procedure should have no limits at all, none. In fact, the liberal governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam, said last year that if an abortion was botched and the baby birthed, that child could legally be killed by a physician in Virginia.
But the FM works. Shortwave works. I can't tell what band that is. I'm at a disadvantage sideways here. All right, medium wave.
They slow these down.
Yeah.
The speed was unbelievable. It was European on steroids. And that was what was so amazing to me, was how they counteracted that in next.
There's your tone control here. That's that little flopper I showed you with the two little springs on it.
About the Russian Olympic program, they might have been on steroids.
Well, 1980
your tone
was unbelievably loaded. I mean, it really was. But, yeah, they were...
Multiple outlets, including WTIC, are reporting that Soto's
getting a lot of interference in the shop. It's the AM broadcast, I believe.
Where...
Right, so that seems to be working. Long wave, you're not going to get nothing on that. And I got to get a magnifier here. Long wave is I don't know. Short wave, medium wave, long wave is 25. It's reading backwards. 15 to 25 megacycles. That don't sound right, but that's what it is. The dials read opposite. Usually on our radios that are made in the United States, the low end of the dials is on the left-hand side, and the frequency climbs up as you turn right. This is opposite. So on the long wave here, it's 25 to 15. So they might drop to 0, and it might be 250 megacycles to 150. That would kind of like make more sense. All right, so we're not getting anything on that. Pick up. And the medium wave is the next one, which is here, and that's the standard broadcast band.
Right now, and get free shipping on any order. And go400.com. That's go400.com. New year?
You can just barely see the eye tube. Very, very faint. So it could be the eye tube's got to be changed. I haven't replaced that.
U.S. versus China, globalism versus...
Of course, your loop stick is vertical. Normally, it should be this way, because the radio's set in this way, so that's going to reduce it. And of course, I got the light. I got two big fluorescent lights on, LED lights on here. All right, so shortwave. Let's see now, the short. You have to excuse me, I'm trying to read sideways here, and I'm having a hell of a time between that and my rotten eyesight. Shortwave is a 6 megacycles to 12 megacycles. Okay, so you won't get nothing on that today. There don't appear to be any dial lights on this. I can't even find a pointer on this. Oh, there it is, way up there.
Often in capsules, with none of the harmful ingredients found in other formulas, you can be sure this silver cream is hard at work, promoting the healing of your skin. Don't miss out on the new Silver Sol powered, can't miss formula.
It's about a little over 11 megacycles right there.
You're listening to the Alex Jones Show. Praise the Lord, He had other plans for my life. I praise His holy name. I pray the Lord continues to bless you and live.
Still in the shortwave band. All right. So let's go to the FM. We're going to turn that volume down. FM is 87.5 to 108. What the hell's the pointer? It's tough without a dial glass. I can't see it.
When you called me on the phone, said you were back to living on your
Of course, the FM antenna I unplugged. No, I didn't unplug it. I was thinking I took this out of the cabinet. No, I didn't. Okay, the only thing I did is this grounding for the backing plate foil is disconnected here at these 2 points.
We're ready to broadcast. 98.7 WNLC. Everything that rocks.
No good music anymore.
occasion.
We got a while ago. K105 got it. Provide you with a combination of
New shoes and boots with their distinctly cool style and expert craftsmanship, to hobo bags hand-sewn from fine Italian leather, to American color, the softest Peruvian wool.
All right. So we'll shut it off. There's all the bands work. I just turned it off now. They're not cutting out like they were. The long wave is got to have a long outside antenna, and your shortwave band needs an outside antenna. So I think the radio is working good, and so afraid I'm going to smash this cabinet into something sharp here. Electrolytic is cold, but the ESR read 4, but that's in circuit. So what I want to do is to get a fuse in this down here, but the cutout for the chassis in the bottom of the cabinet, in the wood cabinet, ends here, and the end cap for the chassis ends here. So this is like an extension where the 3 tubes are on. You got your 6BQ5 and your EL 6V3, I think. It's been a while since I worked on this. My memory's no damn good. So I'm not going to be able to get the fuse in here, and I don't want to bring this in the house until I put a 1 amp fuse in here. I don't want to put a fuse holder under the chassis. Matter of fact, I have to order one of those with the 2 prongs on each end from Sal's Capacitor Corner along with resistors. My order came in that I ordered a couple of weeks ago. So I'm stocked up on caps here. Right here, I redone all this and wrote them larger so I can see them, and my eyes are bad. So I didn't have a 0039. I did not have a 0068, 0075, 0082. So I added all that in here. And I got 1 extra drawer. And I could relocate these safety caps if I have to. Well, I use this trying to get the cap readings on that. I knew it. I've been getting telemarketers on my phone. Took care of that. I just open and close the phone now. I've been getting telemarketers and I've been answering them. Hello, hello. And we've been trying to get a hold of you, and I hang up on them. And this and that crap. I don't even bother answering my damn phone anymore because it's always telemarketers, always. You see that yellow number there? It's upside down. Let me turn this camera around. I don't know how you do it, Doug. You can photograph on the upside down and spin it around in your program. I can't do stuff like that, and I'm not going to try. All right, I turned the camera upside down. You see that yellow number there? I don't know if you can see it. But let me read the number to you, and it's upside down, so it's going to be very difficult for me too. So I'm going to read it to you. All you're going to be seeing is my microscope thing. 2K like in king, 7P, X, and I don't know what that last one is. I give you through the microscope thing here, but it doesn't seem to work too good. All these seem to be the same way. They're very hard to turn, and I don't want to break them. So I'm going to rely on the schematic. But I've never seen caps like that. Here's another one here. Hang on, let me see if I can read that. I hope that's not upside down. I can't tell. I can't read that. Alright, well this is just a run-through anyways. I'm going to put this bottom back on. That is all it's going to be for this video. I'm going to be putting this back in. It slides up in there underneath. And there are 3 screws that I got in my magnetic tray. I'll connect these back up. And rotate this back over. See, they're on the vertical, so you're not going to get the best AM reception. It needs to be horizontal. So that's the story there, folks. Not to keep beating a dead horse, but I'm very, 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 very nervous about taking this out of the case because I'm so afraid of breaking the dial cord. So I'm going to try off camera, not sure when, and I'm going to try to get a fuse holder in here. What I will probably do, there's a screw missing here. There's supposed to be a washer and there's a rubber grommet. Well, there is a rubber grommet here. There is not one here. So it's missing in each one of these. Well, actually, the one in the back is not rubber. The ones in the front are. There's a rubber underneath. So I got to find a screw that'll go in here so I can secure that. It's very difficult to work on this bench, as you know, because it's very, very crowded. I figured I'd throw this video out to you, let you know that, I'm still puttering around. I want to put an order in to Sal's capacitor corner for the 2-watt resistors. I have to get an assortment, but that's going to be a while because I don't know what resistors are needed in here. I can scope them out, and I'll probably do that off camera to see if any are off value, like these here, and so forth. But I got to get the schematic out too, so I can verify, that I'm checking the proper resistor, just in case their color codes are not standard. I certainly don't like the looks of those markings on those caps. I really don't know, because I don't know of anybody that's ever worked on one of these that could tell me if these are wax caps or are they maybe something better than that. Thanks for watching. There'll be more to come in the future. I just don't know when.